this one kind of touches deep. The person that made me the good person that I am would be my Uncle Bobby, Mr. Robert Wallace Goins, but we knew him all as Uncle Bobby. Uncle Bobby was one of those people that he made you laugh regardless of what was going on in your life. There were times where he would show up at our house. There would be a piece of mail with his name on it that he would have mailed from his house in Ohio to us. And he would show up just as the mail was getting there. So we're sitting there looking like, why does Uncle Bobby have mail coming to the house? And then as we look up, he's getting out the car like, wait, whoa, huh? Weird. The man introduced me to jazz. He introduced me to what life really was. He taught me to be humble. So when all the kids are running around, I want Nikes, I want Adidas, I want this, I want that. He showed me what it is just to have something. It doesn't have to have a name on it. He married my Aunt Shirley, who at the time was going through a divorce of her own or whatever, and took in her two boys, CW and Jason. He raised those kids as if they were his own all day. It was just an honor to be in his presence. The man in my eyes was a legend. He was wise. He was what we call these days a sage. He could teach. He was willing to learn. I am at an age now where I reflect now and think, ooh, this is somebody that I would have been sitting down talking to for hours on end, just drinking in the knowledge and drinking in the wisdom because of who he was. One thing about Uncle Bobby that always struck me was he wore this 4-inch wooden cross with a leather necklace or lanyard. He wore this cross everywhere. I almost think he slept in it. But one of the times after he visited, I came home and had to find my own. And I found one. Wasn't big like his, a little 2-inch piece. But after a while, it came apart and I about lost it, almost in tears. But then I realized I'm younger, I'm a little more rougher, so I bought my own cross. And now, every day, I wear my cross. Part of it is because I do have my faith. The other part of it is because Uncle Bobby taught me that this is where your foundation lies. He wakes up in the morning, he takes a shower, he puts that cross on. I wake up in the morning, I take my shower, so I put on my rings and everything, I put my cross on. So to me, Uncle Robert Wallace Goins, Uncle Bobby, was the person that made me the good person that I am. Thank you.
Thank you all. It's wonderful to see you all. I've been vaccinated, boosted, and tested negative last night, so I'm feeling comfortable back here. I'm grateful for Pam for calling me. And thank you for the opportunity to think about something that I don't often think about. I'm a firm believer in the notion that if a child has even one adult who loves her and cares about her and wants to see her do well, that that child has a pretty good chance of making it. In my case, I had several adults who liked me and wanted to see me do well. Coincidentally, my mother wasn't one of them. My mother left my father, who also liked me, and we moved into her maternal aunt's house So we were a multi-generational household. After my grandmother died, my Aunt Margaret moved into the house. And she was a very wonderful woman. She smoked, like most adults did in those days. She drank martinis in social situations, and she drank wine in her bedroom. She was patient, she was kind, and she had a really good sense of humor. She was the popular aunt, and my other aunts were no slouches. She was an office professional with many talents, but best of all, she loved me. I met her at the bus stop every day, and on Saturdays, we'd walk up to the J&R variety store. When I left home, she came to my house every Tuesday for dinner. She was my mother. She was my real mother. Then one day, quite unintentionally, I hurt her. And the reaction was instantaneous, and I didn't make it right, and I didn't make it right then, and I didn't make it right ever. That wasn't the way she raised me, and she did not deserve what she got. I was too ashamed to try and fix it, and I never asked for her forgiveness, and I never forgave myself. Then when Pam offered me this opportunity, I began to think, and I did what all you youths do, I began to research. After a few days, an idea began to appear like a developing photograph. That reference is for those of us who know what that means. I let myself think about what it would be like to fix this decades-old hurt, and I started to talk to her in my head. But one day, I said out loud, "I'm so sorry, Aunt Margaret. I am so sorry I let you down. I'm so sorry that I hurt you. Can you forgive me?" And I waited for a sign. I didn't really know what a sign would look like, but slowly I began to think of the wonderful life that she gave me. I had stopped thinking about her because it was too painful to think about her. And then something I read along the line gave me an idea. And it was maybe she was sad because I didn't think about her anymore, and she wished I would. I began then to see signs everywhere. I found ways to connect to her, and I began to feel a little bit the way I used to feel before my awful mistake. I wanted to forgive myself because I thought that was the only way I'd be able to get some peace, but I wasn't able to forgive myself, not yet. But I could begin to make amends by making a conscious decision to be kind to everyone I love, everyone I know, and strangers. I decided to become the person who is trying to be patient and give everyone a benefit of the doubt every time. As I lay thinking about her one night, I asked her if she would help me with some other people I had hurt. I imagined that she called a meeting. And then I asked her if I could include sort of a class action group of people that I know I've hurt but don't remember. And so when the meeting took place one night when I was laying there in a somewhat altered state, I thanked Aunt Margaret for forgiving me. Then I apologized to each and every one of those people I could remember, and then apologized to all the people I couldn't remember. And then I remembered when the meeting was over, something I had heard at an Al-Anon meeting once, and was even the electric company only expects you to pay your bill once. And I began to think maybe forgiving myself can become a monthly habit. I feel her influence on me, and I'm optimistic that with her help, this 75-year work in progress will continue on course. She helped me when I was a child and apparently has never stopped. Thank you, Aunt Margaret. I'll do my best for the rest of my life to make it up to you. In a conversation I had with my daughter once, I told her that I hoped that there was a life after death, but I'd been wrong before. And she said, "You're not wrong." I hope she's right, because I really would like to see my Aunt Margaret and apologize to her in person. Thank you.
I met Irene Nunemaker when I was 22 or 23, and she was very old, mid-60s, I think, younger than I am now. My husband and I were graduate students at the University of Kansas, KU. My part-time job was teaching basic French, and his part-time job was advising undergraduate students. It was a new program called the College Within a College, which was trying to get the best of small colleges and big university. It was through Bill's work that I met Irene Nunemaker. Irene Nunemaker grew up in Kansas, graduated in journalism from KU. She took a job at Avon when she graduated and moved to New York City. She reported that her first job there was composing the text in the little monthly brochures that anybody who has bought from Avon knows well. She stayed at Avon for her entire career and retired as an executive vice president. She also bought Avon stock through that whole time. So when I met her, she was a multimillionaire. She was also a philanthropist, and I'm not sure I knew that word when I was 22 or 23. And I may have had some less than positive impressions of the philanthropists I would have recognized, like Rockefeller and Carnegie and Ford, who amassed fortunes and then after their death gave away a lot of money. I grew up in a middle-class family where my parents were modestly generous. They aspired to tithing, and I do remember that I was expected to tithe from my little allowance by giving a tenth of it to church every week. But Irene Nunemaker introduced me to a whole new level of giving, and she taught me the benefits of giving to the giver. Irene Nunemaker represented the ideal model of a major donor. Now, those of you who are involved in our castle restoration project know the importance of major donors. Most ambitious projects don't get to the goal without them, and we had a few. Irene Nunemaker made gifts of over $2 million to a number of different organizations that she knew and respected. These included a gift to KU of more than $1 million to construct a small building where Bill and others worked, advising students, and has since become the focus for the honors program at the university. Before, during, and after making this major gift, she exhibited the following important qualities. She listened to the potential recipient to find out what they really wanted and needed and what she could fund. She brought no ego, inspired control to the relationship. It was never, oh, I'd like a different architect, I'd like a different program here. It's, you do what you need. And she was grateful. This is the most important lesson to me. She was grateful for the connection to the university in general, to the programs in her building in particular, and she developed friendships with graduate students like Bill and me, as well as with senior administrators at the university. I chose to credit Irene Nunemaker's influence on my ethical development because she taught Bill and me, and I'm sure she taught many others, about how the donation was enriching her life, not just the benefit to the university. I want to make the world a better place, and seeing that I've made an impact in some positive way gives my life meaning. As a young adult, I learned that from Irene Nudemaker that as my income increased, making gifts that were personally meaningful could and should also increase. One incentive to become successful financially could be that one could fund more causes that we value. Many affluent people make sizable gifts that don't have any impact on their net worth or their lifestyle. But I believe that a personally meaningful gift goes beyond what one can write a check for as a regular monthly expense. Women reportedly have more fear of outliving our money than men do, and that makes it harder for us to calculate how much we can give and not run out. But I remember the joy that Irene Nudemaker shared about getting involved with an organization that she valued, hearing about its need for something costly, and realizing I could buy that. She reported that that realization was incredibly empowering and enriching for her. So I recommend earning the benefits of being as generous as possible during one's lifetime, rather than building or protecting an estate that'll benefit our children or others after our death. And for that, I thank Irene Nudemaker.
Okay.